Hi, welcome to the 5th episode of Flesh and Blood in a Budget. So last week we went like back to back XO in the armory, meaning we won another armory. So I don't know why we can't stop losing, but let's see if this week we actually manage to drop a game. Let's see. So last week we had no entry pack besides the gem pack, and we pulled a nice card in the form of Nimblism, and on foil was the Phyllis Green. Right, since we're saving money for the Pro Quest, I'm trying to be fairly conservative with what we buy now. So I'm going to be getting one Blazing Droid to have a better Syndra matchup, and going to be changing it for the Amulet of Echoes. And I have been playing against a lot of Osilios, and against Verdants I'm only setting one in. So I think having only one Amulet of Echoes is going to be fine going forward.
Okay, let's go.
Today we're at a new armory. Bold the Bird. This is the last armory we it's the last LGS we got in Germany that is with Flesh and Blood. We are currently I think 9 players. I forgot to open my packs in front of the camera, but it's whatever because they were pretty bad. I think there's literally no searchable cards, especially on Legendaries, the Griffins. It's nice. Oh yeah. So wish me luck. Maybe we can taste the fits today.
Good luck.
So shout out to today's store, Bolt the Bird Berlin, located near the station of Schöneweide. Come and check it out if you are into TCGs or 40k and are in Berlin. So the first round is going to be against Olympia. Olympia is a hero we haven't played against. He could go many ways. He could either go dual wielding or be playing with the Great Axe. In both cases, it's going to go to late game. But if he's playing dual wielding, that means that the Dynamos basically disable our hero ability, and he's going to be playing a lot of D-Reacts. So game 1 is against a good friend of mine. He's playing Olympia. I know this game is going to be long, so I need to play to get all the value I can from all my cards. So he just starts by sending down to the bottom as Spill Blood. He had like a bit of a brick hand, so he wanted to filter, and he's also pitch attacking for the late game. I have like a decent turn with a Bittering Thorns and a Flying Kick, but I can't Arsenal since I need to pay 2 to play the Flying Kick. And his follow-up is one of the best turns that any Axe wearer can do. It's a Sharpened Senses and a Spill Blood, so it pushes a lot of damage with Dominate and refreshing the Dynamos as well. So my follow-up just being Arch of Autumn into Enact Vengeance, and he blocks for 4. So he had no arsenal, and since he blocks 4, if I activate my arms here, I go to 8, and he will be blocking it cleanly with the reacts, and I don't really want to risk it, since I know that he actually plays like a lot of the reacts in his deck. So I just want to play fairly conservative around here, no greed. But as we can see, he just ended up breaking even after the draw from that Ultra God, and he just swing his weapon, and that's it. My turn being just another Enact Vengeance, and I also couldn't trust myself to flick, since I know the defensive potential of this deck. Now this one is a bit funny. He swings with the weapon, like classic play, swing with weapon, play by runner, attack, but he had like still a couple of cards in hand. And he played his up the ante to Wage, and I had like a D-React, and I think one of my D-Reacts, because I wanted like to have a D-React for late game, since sometimes these games ends because I don't have like a D-React to block his reaction, and turns out he also had Iron Song response, so he just went over, and yeah, I just missed all the wagers, but I still am able to push some decent damage with my hand. Now he uses his gains from the up the ante to play another Spill Blood turn, but since this is the second Spill Blood, I know the third one was his first good pitch, so he isn't going to see it for a while. So I know I can play a bit more relaxed and just block this, play my Sigil, Arsenal and pass, and just wait until I have like a good hand I can play. After sandbagging for a little bit, I finally got a hand I could play and get a lot of value from, with a Scar for Scar and a Sirens, so I was able to go 1 into 5 into 6. pushing a lot of damage and healing 1 life. So you can see the Optiant is doing a lot of work. Now he has some agilities from the Optiantes, giving him like the ability to play a turn. And also like the Vigors do a lot of work from time to time, especially if he has like 1 Vigor, 1 Agility and his Tunic. Then he can swing 2 into 3, refreshing Dynamos, basically like 6 value for 0 cards. That's like pretty good. It's one of the best plays you can do with Warriors. So now he wagers 2 Vigors in total this turn. Vigors can be pretty good if I have like a 0 cost card, so I can go with my Edge of Autumn into 0 cost card for 5. So it's like pseudo Tunic replacement, you know. And luckily it doesn't break me like the way the Vigor does if I have like Kodachis. Because if I have Kodachi and I get a Vigor, unless I have like Bittern Thorns or something like that, I just get screwed because I can't swing with my Kodachis. Because if I don't have like a 0 cost card in my pitch zone to give it go again. So once again I have like a really good natural cards, being the Edge of Autumn, Into Bittern Thorns and Torrent of Tempo. So actually Torrent of Tempo and Bittern Thorns are some cards it's been feeling pretty clunky in the deck, since they only are good if I are run together, since both don't really go in the math, especially Torrent of Tempo. But Bittern Thorns can be played with the 2 cost, but the Torrent of Tempo, you know, it's not reliable go again, and it's only 5 damage, so sometimes I have like one resource wasted, and it feels pretty weird to play it sometimes. Just as weird as this hand where I just block for Sirens, heal 6 life, and Arsenal pass and prepare a turn for another day. So with the help of the sigils, I got ahead the life, but lost the tempo since I wasn't able to do a lot this turn. But the turn after, we got rewarded because we had like a fiery hand. So we just take all the damage and threw my hand, Edge of Autumn, into Seek Vengeance. Something funny about Warriors is they have access to the card name Stillborn Shunt. It's a 1/6 react, and it can be a bit tricky to use since it costs 1, but with the help of the Tunic it just blocks 6 for free, and sometimes in late game it can help them close out games if I have like 1 life and they can just block it with the Shunt, and the Shunt has also attacks when they block a weapon with it, I get 1 damage, so it's like reckless thing in Warriors. But yeah, this turn is just massive. Edge of Autumn into Seek Vengeance into Scar, and ends with an Enact Vengeance, just pushing a lot of damage. Sadly, we can't take the Arsenal, but we push a lot of damage and regain tempo. So I was a bit sad that our tempo turn wasn't as great as I would like it to be, especially since we couldn't use 3 of the cards we had. So just go into Edge of Autumn and then sing the Sirens, deal 8 damage and heal. It was fine, but it could have been like way better. So I don't know if you have been noticed, but this game is going to be long, and that's why I'm trying like to set up a pitch deck with the help of the last ditch efforts we got like a while back. Since I know if the game is going to go to really late and push come to shove, the last ditch efforts are going to be pretty massive on this game. So I'm just trying to like chip some damage, and if we got to the point where the last ditch efforts is going to be relevant, they are going to be used. So now that we're both almost at 10 life, we started to this grind game when we're like just trying to finish the game, but we can't, since we can take like a lot of damage to keep a lot of cards and push a lot of damage. So it's more like trading 2 cards into 2 cards. And the thing about Warriors is when they're running the Valid Dynamos, that's a lot of value that they can just take away from us, especially like they're annulling our hero ability with their equipment. So it can be a bit tough, especially since they also have like similar offensive capability as us, but also the equipment, so meaning the dual wielding Warriors can be outvaluing us with the help of the Dynamos. So that's like a bit tricky. So this now I'm just trying to play toward the end goal with the last ditch efforts, since I know he's going to have like a bit more cards than I do in my deck, and he also is going to have like a bit more defensive value since he plays more D-reacts than we do and has more armor. But there's a thing when you're playing a lot of D-reacts, you can brick on D-reacts and can't really show an offensive turn. As we saw like a couple of turns ago when he just pitched and didn't do like a lot, just pitched to swing with his axe. Meaning when a lot of D-reacts are drawn from Dual Wind Warriors, they can do a lot because they really want the go again and they don't have like a big weapon to swing with. At some point I got like a bit worried since, when the Warriors just brick and they pitch like a card to swing and like they can also be pitch tagging. And we see later here when he also gets his Spilled Blood turn and he also gets like an in the swing on that. So meaning that's a lot of dominated damage that I can't really block. And that's one way of him just to close the game on the spot if I can't block that. So now we're coming to the last turn of the game. It's 4-2. I have 2 cards in deck and he has about 3 cards more in his deck, but one of the cards is Heart of Fendel, and I know that's going to screw him over when he draws, and I am going to push for damage. So I have currently 1 last ditch effort in my arsenal, and 1 in the pitch zone, so I can play like double last ditch effort to push like 8 into 9 damage, and that's going to be lethal in most cases, and 17 damage. It's exactly on the lethal threshold if he has like 3 blocks, and the Dynamos, that's going to be 13 blocks, so that's going to be perfect for us. Usually you can just try to play with a flying kick, since you can go like Edge of Autumn into last ditch effort and finishing up with flying kick. That's also 15 damage. That's going to be good enough for a lot of matchups. I tried to get a bit greedy with this Vengeance Never Rests. I thought I was coming like for 5, and I thought maybe this Legacy Hikaru is like good enough for like to push 1 damage and then be able to play it again. But he had like the Steel Blade Shunt ready. But it didn't matter since I played both of the last ditch efforts, and that was good enough to win game. Now there's another new hero for this week. We haven't played against Fang yet, but Fang really likes to play in reaction step, meaning he pushes his daggers to keep them go again and some extra power. He wants to mark us in order to get the fealties, and when he gets his fealties, he gets a lot of value since he gets attack for free and get multiple attacks with certain cards and just hit a train. Round 2 being against Fang. This is a deck we haven't played yet, so meaning we're going to learn a couple of new things and some tricks. Second, I'm really sorry for the glare. I moved the setup for this game and didn't notice there was like a lot of glare, but I'm going to do my best trying to talk about what's going on. Fang goes first and pitches a red card in order to attack with his weapon. My hand was really bad. I had 2 Flick Flags, 1 Sigil, and 1 non-combo card. So I wasn't really able to do a lot. And he attacks with his third weapon. I want to block it with the Flick Flag since Fang usually comes like to 4 with reactions, and if he has like an extra reaction I can just play like the second Flick Flag, and I can always filter with my Sigil in my hand. So I just block it, and he also attacks with the Long Whisker Loyalty. I think that was probably like a big misplay. I think just keeping 1 card in the arsenal is way better, especially like the one for the Drakai that he pitched. That's a really good arsenal target since when I marked he can just get like a free fealty out of that, and Fang really wants to get fast with his fealties. My hand was like an actual bricker. I had just 4 red cards after like the filtering, and yeah, but I am 4 life ahead, so that's not too shabby. So here's where I think the second misplay probably came from Fang. So he swings with his weapon. This time he had like a blue card, and he plays the Long Whiskey Loyalty. I had the react ready for that, And I think probably if he choose like Mark instead of attacking again would be way better, since Fang really wants to go fast. As mentioned, he really wants to stack those fealties in order to get like his free attacks. And probably like I think another misplay would have been making no vigor out of this. So like Fang really thrives with a vigor, since he can go like start a 0 for 4 into a free weapon, and if that free weapon gets like a fealty for some reason from a pledge of loyalty, then his second weapon basically becomes free instead of having to use like a whole card to swing again. And he marks me with the second attack, and I give him like his second fealty, since it's a bit better to give him the fealty right away, as long as he isn't giving me like the last fealty. So it's always a bit tricky with the deny and fealty game plan. So a card that's really good against all these Draconic heroes is Erase Phase. But Fang has like a bailout against Erase Phase, especially since Erase Phase doesn't say the cards they own can't gain, so the fealties give his cards like Draconic back, so that way he can like outplay Erase Phase if he has like enough fealties. So now you can see how my opponent got instantly punished from last turn from his line of play, from not marking with the first attack and not doing like the vigor, instead of like just attacking 3 times. Now he started off loyalty, and he has to pitch a whole card in order to swing with the dagger, and uses one of his fealties in order to make this Scout issue Draconic and mark me again. But now he's like with one fealty. If he does like a better line last turn, he has at least one card in his arsenal for next turn, and that could be like way better for him. So now we get into the classic value game. I don't really have like that great turns, since I'm like not drawing super hot, but I have my defensive cards that are just deny him his third fealty, and he has like to go really minus in order to play like all his things. So he's really behind, since he's drawing like a lot of red cards. He can really play efficient turns. Now he gets his second oath. I didn't have like a direct to block his second attack if he's going to pump it, and I didn't really want it to like overblock it, since so I'm already marked. If he hits me, he gets his third fealty. He has 2 reactions in his hand, then I can't really deny it because I don't have like any D-reacts, and I am not going to overblock in order like to do that play. So now I'm just trying to push on damage and get like my feet in the pedal and just go fast. I think at this point I have like a really good life lead, so I know with the life lead I have, regarding of his 3 fealties, I'm going to be able to close the game from here. I have to block with my Scarfus card since I have such a massive life lead, but I still need to put my feet on the gas pedal, because I know like Fang can start playing really efficient, especially with cards like Hunt's End. That's basically that 2 cards 8, I think, and that's like a lot of value in this value game. But the something that Fang has is that his cards don't block that good. So if I have to put him in a position where he has to block, like for example with an Erase Phase, then he can get into some troubles. So we start just doing like the classic game of a value game, and he has like some extra value from his fealties, but I just try to push on damage with all the cards I have. And eventually Fang is going to have to block with more cards as he wants to block with, and from that point I can just like start finishing him, especially since he plays like a lot of non-blocks in the form of Tooth of the Dragon and the Pledge of Loyalty. Then due to those cards he can just randomly die. So one of the big problems with Fang is he really needs like the Draconic cards. If he doesn't have the Draconic cards, he needs to start using the fealties. But if he can't refresh the fealties, then it gets like really tough for him. And eventually he loses all of his fealties. And I think the moment the Fang loses his fealties, it's just game over for Fang. and at the end he just dies because he can't block, since he has like one of the instants in his hand, and that would be like just game over. So now I just want to shout out my opponent. He wanted me to give him some tips about the game. I gave him like in person some a bit small rundown of the game, but I hope this more detailed narration helps him with it. He also mentioned he watched like a video of mine. That's what's really cool, and I really hope this game helps him and a lot of other people. Thank you. So in round 3 we're going to be playing a rematch against a Mario. Not the same Mario of last time though. So what we learned against Mario is that D-reacts are pretty good. Whenever he marks us, he transforms on himself at the end of the turn, but he also gets some value from his graphene and other cards. And there are a couple of decks that are going to be playing some dagger gameplay, meaning they're going to be pumping daggers for huge amounts on the reaction step, and the Tarantula Toxin is really good in that gameplay. So now this game is against a deck we already played against. It's going to be Arakni Marionette. We play against him in week 2, I think, with the first upgrades, and we won the game. So this game, Arakni goes first and starts swinging with a dagger. I block that. Maybe he has like a scar tissue or something, but let's see. And he has no scar tissue, just flicks the dagger, deals 1 damage, marks me, and transforms. So my hand wasn't that great, it was quite red. I start throwing like a Between Thorns to see if he's willing to block or not. Since he blocks it out, I just play the Sigil and pass, healing back to 42. And just to see what he's doing and set up some turns. So he starts the turn with a Sacred Bloodshed. That's honestly pretty bad for us since we're already marked. Meaning, since we're marked, he guarantees a draw with the Flick Knife. Since he is the Arakni number 3, that means he can also re-equip it if he throws his Graphene to his era. And the most important of all, because we're marked, the Graphene has go again. So that's a bit tricky. I blocked the first Graphene since if he really wants to get the draw on the first attack, then he has to sacrifice his second Hunter's Clave, and the Hunter's Clave is pretty important for Arakni. And now if he wants like to swing with another card and then flick the Graphene, that way he doesn't have like the 2 resources available. For example, if I let this hit, then he can plan his hand better. But if he swings with like the Hunter's Clave and then flicks the Graphene to his era, that way he is forced into like using 2 resources to swing with the Hunter's Clave. So now I attack with my Neck Vengeance. I think it didn't really realize how exactly the whole interaction with the kind of cover ups work, since I just boosted for 1 and was able to take his Arsenal card for free. Yeah, I think it's not going to be doing like that misplay again. And then his fallback is not that bad. He plays a Pain in the Backside into a Live No Witness. I was forced to block with the Between Thorns I had in hand. I'm a hit base, so I was losing a little bit of value in that transaction, since I would have liked to play the Between Thorns on my turn after that. I have just a standard Siren's turn, but while blocking, I noticed he is playing like cards not all Arakni's play, in the form of Surgical Extraction. So the thing is, not a lot of Araknis play that card because you don't really have a reliable way to pump it. So you need to be like a bit cheesy if you want to pump it, otherwise it's like never going to hit, and using 2 cards, you just know that to push 4 damage that get just blown out by a thing below, it's not really that good. I also forgot to mention at the beginning of the game, he is actually playing Blood's player best, so I wasn't like really sure what to expect from the best, since like a lot of the math from the tunic is like so good. So I thought maybe his deck was trying to achieve something different than other Arachnis, but didn't really saw it through the game. Now we get into this like standard value trades. I think I did like some sort of misplay there. So Arakni gives +1, also the Graphene Zera, and the Graphene gets +1 as well. So I was staying Mark all the time, meaning he was just getting 1 extra value for free and go again for free each turn. And that would have like hurt it in the long game, especially as he gets like 2 extra value out of that each turn. Once again, with a full red hand, um, and I had a life, meaning the Scar isn't like that good, so I just pitch my Edge of Autumn into Scar. If I would be lower on life, then I can do the play from Scar into the Red Sick Vengeance, pushing 9 damage off 2 cards, which is like pretty good, obviously. So once again, I'm just giving my opponent just free value out of being marked, since now he can equip a Graphene and swing with the Graphene, and then with go again due to like me having being marked, and then playing a Codex of Frailty. I mean, he got like nice tempo back. I get my neck vengeance back, but can't really do a lot since I don't have like a blue, and even if I had a blue, the Frailty just takes 2 value away just for existing. Now he has like decent turn, starts playing with the Marks of Black Widow. Here's where I might have misplayed. Like, I don't know if I misplayed like really, since he just discards the thing that marks me on discard. I was like, okay, I guess I need to play McFlick since I don't want to lose like a card and give him like free go again. And then he has like take up the mantle into a Kiss of Death with a Tarantula Toxin and a Redback Shroud, and he just takes like 10 life away of me from me, and I can do like nothing about it. And now suddenly the life is almost equalized. Yeah. So my opponent plays a Codex turn and gets a little witness. I can really protect the Knack Vengeance in my arsenal, so I just let it be, especially since I have another one in hand, and I know he's going to have like an arsenal from the Ponder. Unfortunately for me, he actually drew like a Sink Below of the Ponder, so I'm not really threatening his arsenal this turn. So now this turn was a bit weird. I see the Persuasive Prognosis and I have a full red hand, and I was just thinking in my mind, there is no way that I have another red card on top, you know? Like, there is literally no way. I'm just going to say no blocks here, and he's going to banish a blue card, and I'm going to laugh because there's nothing going to happen. And maybe he pushes enough damage and heals enough in order to like activate my Scar for Scar. But so he flicks his Hunter's Clave, and this is where like a huge misplay happened on my part. So I have this Coleman Breeze in my hand, and I know if he's flicking the Hunter's Clave, that's because he wants to mark me, meaning he has like a play with a card that only works when I'm marked, or he wants to get like the resource from his chest. But if he really wants a resource, then he would be flicking like the Graphene. So, you know, I don't really recognize how important the mark was at that point, but if I just flick that, then either he can't play like his Take Up the Mantle, or his the thing of the wreck back, and if he doesn't push like the Persuasive, then the Persuasive doesn't hit, and then like everything is fine, you know. But if he marks me, then he maybe gets like go again on hit, and he plays something else. But yeah, it was like a huge misplay. He plays the redback reaction, giving it go again for 5, and yeah, maybe I think that I misplayed again at that point, but I really didn't want to use the flick flag I had in my hand, so this turn was just a huge misplay from my part, and I would like to admit it. And he also like misplays a little bit since he takes away the Scar for Scar instead of the flick flag, and now when he plays his Codex, I can just block with the flick flag his card, and you know, this turn wasn't the best turn for both of us. His turn isn't that great. I think he had like a full red hand, but since I only attacked with my Philosophist, there wasn't like a lot of way he could convert them. Maybe if he just like blocks with 2 cards instead of like just IPing himself on 1 would have been better. That way he has like 1 more life. Yeah, that was probably like a misplay. And he swings the Graphene. I block with the Sirens since if he has like a react for that, then it's fine. Like I block 3 on paper. If he has no react, then I just like heal once since it's coming for 2. Maybe just like letting him hit me ante would be like better, but not really that sure since I don't want like to die to just like random reactions on the graphene. That's always a bit annoying. And I have 4 cards to play with. I have a Vengeance Never Rest into a Neck Vengeance, and you know he actually makes the misplay again, and I activate my arms and deal 1 damage and take his arsenal away. And yeah, he's sitting over there with nothing. But this game hasn't really been that kind to me, I think. Once again, I have like full tempo, but my hand is super bad since I can just swing my Edge of Autumn into a Fluster Fist, doing only 6 damage with all the cards I had, IPing myself on 1. Now he draws a Saber Bloodshed when he has no Hunter's Clay, but I'm still marked from the whole time from cards like this card issue. And he also has the Tarantula Toxin. So I try to block it just to avoid giving him the draw. But yeah, since he has the Tarantula Toxin, he gets a draw anyway. But he didn't have like resources to play this turn, especially since he needed to pitch the pain in the backside in order to swing. So that's kind of funny that I'm breaking with a lot of red cards and he's also breaking with a lot of red cards. Yeah. After that, I just have like a flying kick turn and push him to 1, and I just finish the game from there. The last round today is going to be against Florian. This time it's going to be a fully tuned Florian, so we need to watch out about multiple filling of the crowns. But what we need to know about Florian is that Florian has big attacks and can block really well, so the game can go long, and we need to be playing around Face Purgatory. If we swing like with an attack for 7 and have a card for hand, we're going to be target for Face Purgatory. So now, 4th round, we're going to be playing against Florian. This armory has only 3 rounds, but there were 2 undefeated players, and there was 1 booster on the line, so we just chose to play for the booster and see what happened. Florian goes first, and he has like a pretty good start. Usually, like the floor of Florian starts is just French and pass. But in this case, he plays a Channel Mountain Heroic and a Truce and passes the turn. So the Truce is basically like his arsenal, but he is also not available to be TNC'd, for example. So because he draws the card after that. Just trying to push on damage, but it isn't like that much damage since he just blocks me out and comes with a huge Easter egg. And the channel dies, but it's still able to like do 3 value from the channel. And not only is he blocking really good, he also has really good turns. Now he comes with another channel on top of Bramble Spark and the Easter egg. If this would be Briar, he would have Embodiment of Lightning, draws a card, and comes to a Rosetta-thon after that. But luckily, Florian isn't Briar, and I just block with everything because my hand wasn't like that great. But the bad thing is we can't block that much and wait for the right time, but because this Florian has like a lot of big attacks, meaning if we're just blocking, we're going to be eventually fatigued. And I must say the second channel is coming really big, like pushing the Easter egg and then pushing Swami Gloombale and the Summer's Fault and this turn like a CNC. Getting 12 damage out of this channel is really good. That's honestly some Briar level things. Going to Florian, I was a bit worried that a lot of our healing wouldn't be online, but the Florian is doing a huge amount of damage, so currently we're just lower on life and our healing is online, but we can't really do like a lot of damage since Florian just blocks so well. And we also can't really rely on the trusty last ditch effort turn because Florian has also like Face Purgatory, meaning if he just holds the Face Purgatory for the late game, like the turbo late game, he's just eventually going to deny us that trump card. So now we start into a turn cycle where I'm just trying to push all the damage I can while blocking the most. Like generally trying to get about 8 value per turn cycle. But Florian blocks really well since he has access to like a lot of D-reacts, and he also has access to like a lot of cards that like 2 card 8s. Like for example, he can just play pushing 8 damage and on top of decomposing, or when he's online he can play Swarming Gloombale with 2 rune chance and swing his sword. That's also 9 damage. So he just outvalues us at that point. Now the life lead is getting bigger and bigger, and the first falling of the crown hits the board. Luckily, I had like a direct and the sigil, and I just tried to wait for another day to see if I can just eventually get like a good turn. But another felling hits the board, and I'm just getting super outvalued. I'm trying to pitch tag for my last efforts with the help of my flying kicks just to push some damage, but it isn't be enough. Like this back to back, like felling of the crowns, and all the like out damage in value. It's just too much value that Florian is gaining. A card that's really good against Florian is Erase Phase, since it takes away Earth from his cards and his hero ability is offline. Cards like Channel Man Heroic also can stay after that turn, and also power cards like Bramble Spark aren't online. But it's really tough when the Florian's playing also 9 D-reacts, and he can just block every breakpoint we hit. And especially when Florian is online, his chest with a non-attack action, that just blocks 7 damage, which is also insane. So in a game where we want to outvalue our opponent, him just having like this chip damage plus big attacks is just way too much for us, and he's just winning the value game since he is just dealing more damage than us and blocking way more, and the equipment sweep is way too good, and his headpiece just blocks our late game, and eventually I just concede because I don't see a way how I can end this game, and this felling of the crown just finishes me off. So now it's been a couple of days since the armory. I've been sick the past few days, so I have been struggling by to finish this video. But yeah, the armory we finally lost. We played against a Florian. It was basically full power Florian. There's wasn't much we could do. We just got outvalued each turn, and we eventually died. Otherwise, 3-1, decent. I noticed we have actually a good amount of budget, so I think I will start buying a couple of more cards. I'm going to be looking into like the more cheaper staples, maybe some disruption things, like as I said before. So the Brutal Souls, I need to get something better for that, and the ones that Torrent of Tempo, that one's also not that great, so I'm looking to replace that. I'm also really sorry about like the blur and the glare and like the image not being like that clear. I really want to tackle that, so I hopefully can create better content for everyone. But thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.